Hello, welcome to another edition of that Millwall podcast. Our guests tonight, if you're watching on YouTube, you will already see them. Or if you've seen the previews, you'll already know, and the secret videos as such, the little teaser videos, you'll know exactly who he is. This man, he's probably the go-to man, really, for anything ceremonial, anything what needs some ceremonial planning, respect to the highest levels. This man needs no further ado apart from this is the fella with the beard, the white hat, who stands in front of Coldblow Lane at the beginning of every November with his arms up in the air, going, "Boo!" We got the one and only Bomber. Hello, fella.
How are we doing?
I'm doing well, mate. About 3 years it's taken to get you on the show. And finally, we've got you. We've been pals for a while now. You are the man who gives me all my military understanding of what I want. So yeah, look, what we do is we're getting to this straight after this. So we're kicked straight in with part one, straight after this little tiny interlude. And it'd be much better if I'd have lined the clip right up. But we'll be right back after this. There we go. So yeah, let's explain where do we explain, because it's been a good few years now since you got in. So I think let's go back to it. The beginning was we had a conversation, or I think it was with Nigel, wasn't it? We had a conversation about you boys doing the Albert Mackenzie presentation to one of your chief gunner, or your best gunner, and you wanted to know whether or not you could do it at the pitch. I think that's probably about 4 or 5 years ago now, isn't it? 4 years ago.
It was 2016.
Christ, 6 years ago.
Years, yeah.
Jesus, is it been that long? I suppose it was, because I was, for those who didn't know, I was fan on the board about then. And yeah, I'd done it then. Christ, 6 years ago. So basically, we had a conversation. We're doing a presentation for Albert Mackenzie at the Albert Mackenzie statue, and we'd like to do something with you guys if we could. And it just so happened that the day you were doing the Albert Mackenzie, the next day was the Remembrance game. And I said, "How many you got?" And you went, "How many do you want?" Yeah. And that was when, the Remembrance stuff has escalated from there. But yeah, it seems mad that one phone call, and we're pals. We constantly fucking talk throughout the year. You've done some massive things in that time. You've done the Jubilees, treatment of colour. You've done guarding Buckingham Palace, the Queen. You've taken Prince Philip on his final journey. You've taken Her Royal Highness on her final journey. No doubt you'll be involved in the coronation of the King next year. No doubt you'll probably be involved in doing something with the King's birthday next week. But more importantly, you're at Millwall this weekend. Oh, and you'll be at the Senator next weekend, as you do every year. It's just a benefit you're a Millwall fan, but I mean, that's my side of it. What's your side of it?
Oh, you say, remember going back, we were coming a couple of years before. You were a fan on the board and got hold of me randomly. I put something on Twitter saying, "Oh, I'm coming up to the Den this weekend," and you pinged me on Twitter and went, "Fancy laying a reef?" And it's just escalated from there. And that first year, it always, a special place in my heart. I remember coming round, putting that that wreath behind the goal on Cold Blow Lane, and I just caught out the corner of my eye, looked at you, and you're going, "Get off the pitch, get off the pitch," and I thought, nah. Nah, I'm not doing. I've only got one attempt at this, and that was it. I just let it roar, and people have been asking me back ever since. So,
well, you're first on the list every time back, and those who know me know that I come up with some real fucked up ideas, right? And then what I do is I find people, AMS. When I was found on the board, I had people wrap around me what people don't know. I had various WhatsApp groups with very respected Millwall fans who I put things through and to make decisions, and I don't feel right about this. What do you feel? So I've always wrapped myself around people to be able to make the ideas come through. I'm good at that. I'm not necessarily good at making them happen if I haven't got the skill set. And your knowledge is obviously military, and I've got no real understanding. I've learned a lot over 6 years, but I've got no real understanding about the hierarchy, the authority, who's in command, who does this, who's that. So on a match day, and so let's go for the beginning. So basically, from June the 20th or thereabouts, when fixture days come out, we talk all year round, but we talk on fixture day, and we basically, once we know what the fixture is, we then plan the day as close as we can, and then we start saying, right, who do we want? So you'll go, well, I'll bring a load of ours. We're going to do the presentation, and then we go for Army, then we go for Navy. This year and last year, we basically put it out to Millwall fans. Any serving, they get first call, and then we fill it up from there. But I give you ideas, and I say, this is what I want to do, and then I get, not going to happen, or that's achievable. I can do that. So, I mean, some people think I'm a fucking nightmare, which I am to a degree, but we go into that on a different show about that, because hopefully that will be getting sorted soon. So yeah, but yeah, I mean, what's your take on how we do things? And I mean, we'll talk about Mel in a little bit, but because people probably don't understand what she does either. But we'll talk about Mel in a bit. But how what's your thoughts on what we do, how we plan it?
well, let's say I normally get you phoning me up, going, right, I want a jetpack coming in, and I want something really random to happen. And we just try and, within the constraints of what we could do, and we just try and make it as I'll try and think the word, as intimate as we can with that amount of people to have that connection. And just having a walk around at the beginning, during the whole day, and the amount of people that just come up and shake my hand, say hello, have a 2-3 minute chat, just stop me anytime, have a chat. I'm I'll say quite a humble fella. I don't.
I thought you were going to say handsome fella. Then I was going to say fucking hell, no, we can't have two good-looking bastards on this show. Do you know what I mean? Come on.
I'll stop and chat. Literally, stop and chat to anyone. And we've all got one common love, and that's the club. Admittedly, I can't get up as much as I want to. And hopefully I can start doing that a bit more soon. So, yeah, I look forward to this time of year every year. Not only to remember various people that I know and have lost, and people who we've got to look back for the remembrance game, but just the hospitality from everyone at the Den is always amazing.
Yeah, I mean, especially last year and this year, Millwall. Because it's now the way it is. I mean, let's just a special shout out to the club. I think we need to,
Definitely.
special shout out to the club. Special shout out to, Billy Taylor. We might not see eye to eye on everything, but on this, he basically allows me and Mel. Mel does all the poppy side of it. So all those boxes you see of the poppies walking around, she builds all them. She makes them all together. She basically runs that side of it like a military operation. And without her, worse. Yeah. A lot worse. Yeah. Love you, Mel.
Oh yeah.
She's unbelievable. Those of you who know Mel, through different channels, you've met her or whatever, you'll know what we're saying is that you cut her in half, she's Millwall through and through. She'll bleed Millwall. She is Millwall, and what she wouldn't do for this club is you could write on a postage stamp. Do you know what I mean? It is, and we share the same passion for the club. We might not agree with everything, but the club let us run Remembrance Day. So the club basically come to us. How many tickets do you need? How much parking do you need? Where, do the guys need to get changed? Right, what you're doing. They don't necessarily find out exactly what we're doing till probably 2 days before the event. We know the timescales because we've done it every year. We've got our bugler. We're one of the only people that do a live bugle on the pitch. And we're probably one of the only clubs who have loads of service. But we have to jump through hoops as well because obviously current climate security concerns and, safety concerns and stuff like that. But it's good though, and last year was good. My crazy idea last year of putting people around the pitch just worked, and we do it again this year. But I'll put it out now so that people can come back to me in years to come and go, well, when's it going to happen? One year, ideally, I want the Marine Band, but I might not be able to get it. But I'm telling you, one year, I will have a fucking band march from the blue up to the ground and then fucking do something out, in the car park before the game. And then we'll have them around the pit or we'll have them near the pitch or something to fucking, God Save the King or God, Royal Britannia or something before the game, before the last post. At some point in the future, that is my dream, to have, the brass band as such from a military band do, because I just think that, we need to make it, better and better every year. It's a pipe dream. Will it ever happen? I've got no idea. I've been saying it for the last 6 years.
Always hope.
And it's been getting bigger and bigger every year. And yeah, but no, I don't think there's any other club like us. So
no. I know there's quite a few lads, Navy lads, that come up with us every year, and some go and some come back, and the ones that come back, or it's not even that come back, the amount of times, every single time, they all go, "What an amazing weekend!" And these might be some real hated us for years, like most people do, and then they come to a game, and a special remembrance game, and then they walk away and they go, why have I hated Millwall for so many years? And now they normally text me and go, cheeky win or another draw or whatever, because they've secretly got an eye on them, just watching. And we've got a special place in people's hearts, as much as
that's it.
Especially armed forces, and just the respect that we get is from everyone in the club is just amazing. It is amazing.
So, tell us about you then, Bomber, because you were supposed to come out not long ago, and you fucking signed back up for a few more years. So, within reason, I know you probably can't tell us too much, but what is it? What do you do in the Navy, and how many years have you been in, and how long you got left, and are you going to leave then, or are you going to continue some more?
So right, where do I start? So I joined in '97.
Why did you join?
Why?
Yeah.
Military family. My dad was in the Falklands. My stepdad was in the Falklands. Actually, my stepdad's down in the Falklands. Going back for the first time. in 40 years. He was a Royal Marine down there. My dad was a sailor down there on within back of helicopters. So yeah, my granddad was in the Navy. You know, I come from a military family, and it was either that or, well, do nothing. So I thought, you know, I'll go sign up. So off I went, trundled off, and say 25 years later, I'm still serving, and being really, really lucky with things um, that I've been involved in and done. You know, Iraq was pretty shit, but you know, you got to take the rough with the smooth sometimes. But to be within the ceremonial, so as a gunner in the Navy, we're drill instructors as well. So I had a bit of an inkling, bit of a passion for being a drill instructor. So I took my
Full metal jacket.
yeah, literally, yeah.
I think I might edit that bit right in now.
So I took my when I'm not at sea, my shoreside career down the ceremonial world, and to be involved with some of the stuff that I've been involved in is just been amazing. Everything from the Diamond Jubilee, going back 10 years ago. Going back before then, I was involved with the Olympics in 2012, with the ceremonial side of that. You know, I'm trying to remember half the things I've done, especially going into 2014, which was the start of the centenary stuff for First World War, and then going into the Gallipoli 100, where I went out to Turkey to Gallipoli to do the big parade there, and then coming all the way up to the end of the First World War stuff, so the 2018, being heavily involved with that, and then D-Day 75 to guard in the Royal Palaces.
How was that?
In the card. Do you know what? One of the best things I've ever done is march on the forecourt of Buckingham Palace. March out from Wellington Barracks, where you start, across into Buckingham Palace, with flying out the Royal Navy's colours. You know, just the troops around us, march through those gates, knowing that there's circa 15, 20,000 people all coming to see, you know, me, you know, and the Navy, the rest of the Navy is where you look at it. And to be there guarding, you know, the boss, our sovereign, was an amazing thing to do. And that was only the second time the Navy had ever done it. So being
What, in
heavily
history?
involved with that in history, yeah.
Wow.
So first time we done it was in 2017. And one of the other guys who was heavily, well, my opposite number in the office, he's coming up on Saturday as well. I've tried to convince him over the last couple of years, go, come at the den, you'll love it. And yeah, a guy called Sam Gore, another chief, he's coming up with me this weekend. So he's there, and you know, we go from guarding the palaces, and then unfortunately COVID hit, but we put those 2 years to the side. No one cares about that anymore. And then unfortunately during that period, Duke of Edinburgh passed, so myself and Sam, we heavily involved in that. So we were at Windsor Castle, done the funeral for that. We come out of that, and then all started then taking off with all the Jubilee this year. And I literally haven't stopped from being in Windsor for the Royal Windsor Horse Show to beat and retreat on Horse Guards. I was over in the Isle of Man doing parades over there. And then, yeah, September the 8th or 9th or whatever it was, it kind of hit. And that was, always remember it, that was a Thursday evening. And believe it or not, that was the last time I watched TV for 12 days. And
those who didn't know, you went basically into secure buildings, and you were basically away from everyone Planning. You know, we had loads of conversations in between them, loads of voice messages, loads of bits and pieces. But I think I'll say it, and loads of people will come up and say it to you the weekend. But knowing that you were taking our Queen, Her Royal Highness, on her final journey, I knew it was going to be perfect. And I don't think there was any prouder moment seeing you. I knew you'd done Prince Philip because obviously we talked, you were there, I knew where you were, and I saw you and all that. But doing the Queen was different. The fact that Millwall fans took it, but I think that I was so proud to see you there and call you a pal and seeing you right there. And it was just a fantastic moment. I mean, it's weird because we've got a mutual friend who through doing this, so I'm not going to mention, but we've got a mutual friend who was on the London Bridge planning side of it, and they done that, and then you doing the other side, and it was like 2 Millwall fans are involved in planning this, making sure that things went perfectly, and massive respect, Bomber. You done a blinding job, mate. Your boys, I know they were trained to an inch of their life, and I know that this has been planned for years. But you never want that call to stand up for this. But fucking so proud, mate. So proud that you did the country, you did every one of us, because you are part of the Millwall family. You've done us so proud, mate. Really, really proud.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate that. There was you say the Thursday it happened. The Friday was just let's sort the admin out, and then Saturday 700 troops turned up, and then it was all splitting down to all the different things we had to do. And my job, along with five of us drill instructors, it was our job to teach. Sorry, 6 of us, yeah, me and 5 others, and to teach the gun carriage. So it was 138 sailors, so the ones that you see with the blue collars and things, 6 officers, and then 4 of us out the 6 as the chiefs, and 1 warrant officer to pull the gun carriage. So it was 148. So for having the pressure of it, you know, we've been training for it for years. We've been preparing for it for years, but for it to actually happen, and then we kind of worked out in our heads it's going to be around about 4 billion people watching. So all of a sudden you've got the pressure of pretty much half the world watching, and if that gun carriage isn't perfect, then we ruined history. You know, we'd always look back and they'll go, oh, you know, they didn't quite do that right, they weren't good enough, etc., etc. And that pressure in the first 3 or 4 days was quite a lot. And then we just settled into it, working from 6 a.m. till 10, 11 o'clock at night, just drill, eat, sleep, drill, just constant for a few days. And then I think it was day 5 into day 6. We then went up into town, into Westminster, and done an overnight rehearsal, where there was quite a few issues, shall we say. It didn't quite go smoothly. But if anyone wants to know about some bits and pieces, just come and stop me around the den, and I'll tell you when we went.
Won't be public.
We went Wellington. It was quite funny.
As much as we'd love the exclusive, unfortunately, his job's more important.
Yeah. And then the day came. We left Portsmouth at it was round about 11, half 11 at night. All piled onto coaches. RAF come from where they were coming.
Police escort, or
it was dead of night, so we went into Heston services, and then we were then pulled forward into Wellington Barracks, where we were held there because they were shutting London down, so you couldn't get in, so we had to get in early. So we're laying on seats and floors and just trying to get a couple of hours kit. And then that was it. 9:44, step off. Always remember it. 9:44, step off. March down to Palace of Westminster or bottom of Big Ben. Picked up the gun carriage, and then that was it. The rest is history. It was a mix of emotions of proud, emotional because of what was going on. I just turned my phone off, left it in the on the coach, and just head down, do a job. And it was an amazing experience to be part of. It was one of those you don't really want to do it, but at the same time, you would never miss it. And those that know, there was a little special part of the club, well, also on parade.
Which we've got a few little bits and pieces what we got planned. Which those of you in Coldblow Lane End, and those of you who come and see Bomber beforehand, will know. You know, just turn around to him and say, "What's the secret then?" And he'll show you. But those of you in Coldblow Lane, all I'd say is, once you see the geezer with the white hat and the beard coming towards you, make sure you got the camera out. Because what he's going to show you, he took on his journey with the Queen. Because he wanted us to be with him on the journey, that we stand with him, even though we're not there. But in spirit, every one of us was standing with you on that day. It was a mad thing. It was you. It wasn't my mad idea this day. You suddenly come up with a mad idea at the 11th hour and went, Mick, do you reckon you could do this? And I'm like, I don't know. I said, I don't know if I'll be able to sort it with the club because I think it would be too hard work. I said, but I've got something here what we could probably use. And it was like, all right, do. So yeah, post office, next day delivery, send it down, and then it was done. If you saw the stuff around the Queen, you'll see we did a couple of teaser videos then, and we put a couple more teaser videos out tomorrow and Saturday morning probably. You should be able to figure it out, but yeah, it'll make you proud, and it should make you proud that we were standing with Bomber on that day. And it makes some of the cryptic posts what I posted around then make sense to everyone on that day. So yeah, tell us a bit about this gun carriage, because it's not modern. This is part of history in itself, isn't it? What you guys have been looking after for a while. I know it's gone in to be built now because there's no risk of anyone else potentially going in a minute. So I know that it's being refurbished and everything else. But tell us about the gun carriage.
Yeah, so it was decommissioned. Well, didn't actually have service during the Second Boer War in the late 1800s, and then it was converted into a funeral gun carriage. So it had a catafalque put on the back. And believe it or not, it was quite revolutionary at the time because it had rubber tires. One of the first gun carriage to ever have it.
Because they normally have metal.
Yeah, metal or wooden. And Queen Victoria didn't like the sound of the metal or the wood going across the cobblestone, so she went, sort that out. Don't want to hear the noise of that. So someone come up with a revolutionary idea to put rubber tires on it. And then that gun carriage carried Queen Victoria on her final journey. And back in 1901, really cold morning, King's Troop Royal Horse Artillery was stood there with the gun carriage. A big naval guard was next to them from men from HMS Excellent. And because it was cold, the horses got a little fright. They bucked and broke the lines. So a lieutenant looked at an admiral, said, we can do that. So they fashioned a load of ropes. We nicked the gun carriage off the army, and we've held it ever since. And ever since Queen Victoria's funeral, where the Navy pulled her for the first time. The King at the time then turned around and said, from then, the Navy will have the honour of pulling the Monarch on their final journey on this gun carriage. And that particular gun carriage that Her Majesty was on last month, that carried Queen Victoria, King Edward VII, King George V, King George VI, Churchill, Louis Mountbatten, and then Queen Elizabeth II. It was then taken, it's back down in Portsmouth now. It will get refurbished and it's held in HMS Excellent. And it just get ready for the next monarch or next state funeral. And we continue to have it, yeah.
It's madness, that story around the story of why the Navy got involved, which I suppose just continues. Obviously you guys listening to this won't understand, but the banter between the Navy and the Army is in full flow, and you'll see it probably at the weekend, possibly, because we've got more Army boys there this year. But yeah, on our group chat, the banter's definitely there, mate. The pretty boys from the Navy and the Army boys sitting there giving it to, you boys come and finish stuff off and we go in and do the real stuff, and the banter back and forth is unreal. But it's great though, because when it's time to do the work, everyone just does it.
Yeah, we're in the military, and there are, a lot of organisations are like it, but there is a lot of banter. We will throw so much shit at each other and have banter, but as soon as the time comes, that's it. We're shoulder to shoulder, and we're a band of brothers and sisters. And you don't stand there and look after yourself. You look after whoever's to your left of you and to your right of you, and then they will look after you.
Pretty much Millwall way, isn't it?
Exactly that, and that's how we stand, and we will just rip each other to pieces, but there's that mutual love and respect there.
Yeah, there's that mutual love and respect. I think from Millwall fans to armed forces.
Definitely.
I just think the day is so special. If you're listening, Mans, the boys will be with you over next weekend at some point. I'm not going to stipulate what time or whatever it is, but they will be with you at one point. And I hope, as always, you don't take a pound note off these boys, as you've always done. And there's a free plug for Manses. Just go tell them at the Navy sent you. You might get a discount. Probably not. You might get a discount. The other question for you, what a lot of fans probably don't know, tell us about Albert Mackenzie, because probably loads of Millwall fans have seen the strange, and it's a strange looking statue, old metal, welded, black eye, blacksmith made and that. But who, I know who he was, obviously, but who was he, and what's his connection? And then we can probably explain why the connection, why we do the Albert Mackenzie presentation now pitch side, going forward. We have done for the last 6 years. So I mean, yeah. So who was Albert Mackenzie? Private Albert Mackenzie, isn't it? Yeah.
Able seaman, yeah.
Able
so
seaman.
He was in the First World War at the Battle of Zeebrugge. He was sent ashore as a machine gunner, and he was in quite a bloody battle against the Germans. He was quite badly injured. He was then thrown onto a stretcher where he didn't want to get on, and he had the fighting lion spirit. And he continued to engage the Germans on being pulled on a stretcher, where he was quite badly injured, and he didn't want to be pulled on the stretcher, so he kept fighting and kept firing his gun to kill the enemy. Eventually, then taken back, and he was patched up and won the Victoria Cross. or was awarded the Victoria Cross, should we say. He then went and received the Victoria Cross from the King, but unfortunately died a few weeks later of I think it was pneumonia or something. It was a bad lung condition, and unfortunately died. But where the statue is on Tower Bridge Road, he lived literally around the corner on I think it was Decimer Street. He lived on there. He was a Millwall fan, and that's how we got the connection with a guy called Trev Starkey, who's another gunner, and he was based over in HMS President in St Catherine's Dock. And then he bumped into, he was approached by a guy called Paul O'Keefe, who's an ex-Fusilier, who's
massive Millwall fan as well.
Yeah, huge. And it was we want to do this statue for Albert Mackenzie because he was like the forgotten Victoria Cross winner, and Paul being the big-hearted fella that he is, wanted to do something, and we raised quite a bit of money to get the statue, and Paul was pivotal.
A lot of money. You raised a lot of money.
Yeah. And he was relentless for about 2.5, 3 years to get to where it is. And I was in the office down in HMS Collingwood when I was based in there with the section, with the ceremonial section. And Nige Newport, who comes up with us every year, he popped across and went, "Bomber, you're a Millwall fan. We've got this connection. Do you fancy coming up? We watch a game. We're starting to raise some money for the Albert Mackenzie." And it was hang on, who's Albert Mackenzie? Read into it, thought brilliant, local boy as well, and it's just grown every year ever since. And if it wasn't for say Paul and Nige Newport and Trev Starkey, and that's just how it grew and grew. And I went up and done the parade for the opening ceremony where we had Lord West there, and basically we closed the whole road, Tower Bridge Road, and everyone stopped because I was shouting at the top of my voice, and I thought, who's this loudmouth twat? So it was that was people's first kind of introduction to me, shall we say, and then literally it's just grown legs ever since. And we were going up every year, and then yeah, you got hold of me, and then it's just grown legs even more. So
yeah, it's definitely grown legs even more. I mean, yeah, special shout out to Paul and the other guys, because they were from the Bermondsey Conservative Club, wasn't it? Bermondsey,
Oxford Bermondsey,
Oxford,
yeah,
Bermondsey.
OBC, yeah. They hosted us and looked after us for a very, very long time. We've got a real close connection with them. You got Paul, Fitzy, Wendy, Dave, and all that. They're such a great bunch.
And obviously a pal of ours as well, Pete, who's who does bits and pieces for it as well. He's part of that club as well. But yeah, the Paul and all that, you've got to take hats off to him because he was relentless. And it works. I mean, the council agreed to a plot and everything else. But yeah, no, it's I can't believe though it's 6 years, fella. I really can't think it's. So so far then? What's your most memorable one so far, or have you got a couple of good memories from it? Because I'm trying to think of a couple of mine as well. I was nervous as fuck the first year.
Yeah. Well, you were nervous. I didn't know how it was going to go down. I could have just gone like that, and then all of a sudden I could have just gone flat on my ass. But actually, the crowds of every,
they went mad, didn't they?
Yeah. They weren't expecting it, and there's a couple of YouTube videos out from people in other stands.
Because it was the guy we had the first year was another Navy guy, wasn't he? I I can't think of his
Yes.
name now.
Alex.
Alex, that's it. And he was the first. You and him were the first ones to done it, and you and him went mad that end. And he had his dad in that stand who done the video, and he sent it to me. And then I posted the video, which went viral everywhere. And then other people's videos and stuff come out of it. But yeah, that first one, I was like, right, yeah, come on in, off the pitch. And you were just looking at me and just went, and you looked at Alex and you went, fuck them all. And it just went mental. Which I never expected wouldn't, be fair, but the crowd didn't think, and it just I can still see that first day, and I didn't know it 6 years ago, but I can still feel that first, and it just went boom, and CBL just went fucking boom, and literally it just travelled round the other stands where people knew you were doing something, couldn't necessarily see what you were doing, but they were like all joined in the chants, and everyone was singing the same chant at once, and it was just mental. And I suppose last year was quite another new thing. What we did last year was a special shout out to Lee Evans and John Davis, and Terry, a guy called TMC, who and T, who got the Lee and John got the bench. T and I think TMC or T got the bench registered with the Imperial War Museum. The company in Northern Ireland that made it, Husky, for paying for the bench. And we'll come on to Husky in a minute. And we're one of the only football stadiums to have a war memorial recognised in their footprint by the Imperial War Museum. And last year we brought Lee. There's no point saying we brought Lee's family into it, because yeah, we did, but we brought Lee O'Callaghan, Millwall fan who sadly died in active service in 2004. And there's a weird story with that, which I'll tell you about in a sec, where his family and his flag take a salute from you guys on the day now. This year, we're going to have his sister and his brother taking the salute. And obviously, his flag's behind where they stand. And his brother then lays wreath behind Coldbow Lane. And then we do something with it later on. But how was that? I mean, I was there next to Danny last year, and Danny's wife, and mate, that was emotional. That was something else. Like
it was
to see that many soldiers just all saluting and literally just walking up, stopping, salute, off, was just fucking unbelievable. Really unbelievable.
There was some real keys, I'll say, special moments on that day. Hearing a pin drop in the den when we have the silence, and then the last post goes when Jake, that's it, and he lets it rip with his bugle. That's just amazing. And then we come up, go across the other side of the pitch, and then head down towards the corner where Lee's flag is. Stop there, and just as I think it's because people know now, the last few years of me coming round, people start to roar before the CBL starts to go before I've even got there, and it just puts a little smile on my face, and the hairs on the back of my neck raise. But as I come round, I could hear that, feel that, see that. So it got them coming from all sides of the den. But I was just focused on, right, I've got to get this wreath to Danny, Lee's brother. I've got to get this wreath because we wanted Danny to take the wreath on behalf of his brother and then put it behind the goal. So I was just so focused. Right, I've got to get him this. Don't fall over, because we had a full barrier to get over. Didn't want to trip, so it was stop, salute, give him a salute, hand it over, and then off we went. And then as we come round, I just looked over and I could just see the rest of the lads and lasses and all the troops just stopping, saluting, and paying their respects to a fellow Lion who we lost in active service, whose memory, because of the club having his flag up there, and is still alive today. And then from there, the normal kind of stuff we do. And being part of that with Danny was he was blown away. As normal, I always start it, and then if people, you can see if you watch a video back, I just take a step back and I just let Danny take it all in. This was about him and his brother, who that was solely what it was all about. And then it was very, very special at the end. And there's only, I think it was on YouTube, and it was only a handful of people. I say a handful, it was probably 15, 20 people there who weren't servicemen, who we went back and picked up all the wreaths and then marched them round to the bench where the last post was sounded again. And that was very special. That was very intimate. And that was for us to pay our respects, not only to Leo Callaghan, to Lee Rigby as well. Very, very poignant, very special. And if I recommend, if people want to go there, go and pay your respects to that bench and the plaque.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it's weird. The story with Lee is this: my missus lost her best mate. He died young in 2004. In the, I'm going to say November. I'm not 100% on it, but I think it was around that time anyway. And she grew up with him, best mate. Anyway, we used to go to visit him in the graveyard most weekends, put flowers there, stuff like that. We, especially at the beginning, like you do, you go there regular. And there was a bench at the end. I'm not going to mention where the cemetery is. Those who know. But there's a bench right at the end. And there's a lot more things there now and all that. But when it was there was a line, there was Lee, and then there was a line, then there was Charlie. And at the end, there was a bench. And that bench was Lee's. And we used to go pay our respects to Charlie. And then we give a little bit of respect to Lee. And we sit on his bench. And we just take in what's going on. Before we had kids. And we used to just sit there, take in. It wasn't massively, highly populated. It was still fairly untaken over as such, or whatever way you want to do it. But we used to sit there and take it. And then a few years later, when we started doing this, and obviously things with Lee coming up with the fee, with the bench, and more bits and pieces coming out about Lee and Danny and all that. And then all of a sudden it dawned on me that I never knew Lee. I've never met him. I never knew him, or I never went in his circles or anything else. And I didn't know any of his family or anything else, but there was a connection, and it was like, well, whatever I can do to bring that connection into the den now, because he was a Millwall fan, then we'd do it. And again, last year, crazy ideas. I said to you, I want to bring Lee into this. This is what I'd like to do. And you said, well, that's fine. I'll bring the wreath to Danny, and then we can get the guys to salute as they go past him. And I was like, okay, do you think that? I think it was one of the best things. I wanted their respects paid to them. It was unbelievable. It was, there are videos of it on the pod's social media, TikTok and stuff, where there's a video with Danny's missus filmed behind them. I think the only thing on that day which I remember for this year is I need to open the fucking LED screens up a little bit earlier than you getting there. And then we have to fight with them to get them open. So, yeah, if you don't know that, you watch the video now, you can see camera angle of me suddenly realizing, how are you getting out? You're not getting out. You're not going to be climbing over these things. So it'll be it wouldn't be right to do that. But no, I think we're going to do the same this year. Massive shout out to Husky. Bit of an exclusive on this one. I don't even know, who knows and whatnot. Husky has kindly donated 10 spaces of their box on Saturday. In that box are some I think Iraq veterans, another war veteran from, I think we got, another service, we say, a veteran from a couple of army, another service, and we've got some Falkland veterans in there. We've got a Falklands government representation to the UK who was over the moon and so pleased that we're remembering the Falklands on this, our Remembrance Day, that they're coming, because obviously we got the badge designed where you pick the winner, and that badge. So if there are a limited edition of these badges, we will post images out across our social media so you can see it, but they are limited, so you need to get to the den early to get one. If you can't make the den, then just get in touch with me through DM or something, and I'll put you in touch with a person who potentially can mail them out to you. But they are limited, so you need to do that double quick before Saturday, ideally. And then you and Sam are going in the box. You carried the Queen on her last journey, and I think
the other side of the gun carriage was Sam.
Yeah, so, and you and Sam get to join Husky and their guests on Saturday, which I think is a fantastic gesture. If I'm honest, again, I chanced my arm earlier this year with John and that. I know a few of them from there, met a few of them, just chanced my arm and said, would you be up for doing this? And he's gone, yeah, absolutely we would. So I think that'll be good to watch the game in comfort. And go from there. We're remembering Lee again, like we did last year afterwards, in our way. This year, I've possibly got someone who's going to lay Lee's wreath, who served with Lee on the bench, who served with Lee in Iraq and part of his company. So I think that would be nice and touching, and possibly have a few words like we did. But last post, I might even hopefully have his Danny's wife sing the national anthem before we do the last post, because I think that's quite nice. That little bit's a bit more not in your face. I'm getting choked up here now. But yeah, no, people say to me, it's done. And me and Mel don't do this for us. It's me and Mel look at this in the same way that you looked at, you were doing it. Is that me and Mel look at this as this is our responsibility of doing it for every Millwall fan around the world. We do it on their behalf. And every year we want to make sure that we raise as much money as we can, and we make sure that we put on the best possible sign of respect we could do. And I think we do that every year. But it's only possible with people like you, Bomber.
Thank you very much. I go there because a Millwall fan, but B, just to have the
free beer and free food. I know.
No.
You never buy a drink though, do you? Have you ever in any of the last 6 years gone there on those days? Have you ever bought a beer, or is there always a beer being put in your hand? Even afterwards, when you go to the pub, and I'm not going to mention the pub, but you go to the pub.
Every time I try to, I get told, you put your hand in your pocket to go and buy a pint, I want to kick your head in. And I'm like, well, Just
I remember that.
Sometimes I
That was
go.
the first year. Remember the first year when we went to the pub? I'm not going to mention it for you because there are idiots out there with my watches. If you know, you know, and ask you on the day, you'll tell them, or ask me on the day, and I'll tell you where they are. If you want to go buy them a beer, that's fine. But we're not going to do it on here. The first year we were there, we were all there. There was loads of us, and they were buying your drinks up here at the club, and then we went to the pub, and a certain Millwall boy who's very well known, should we say? They're very well known in the right circles, and you went, yeah, I'm gonna my turn now. Come on, I'll buy you a drink, bro. And literally, this guy switched, didn't he? He just went from happy for you, just switched, and he went, "You put your hand in your pocket. I'm gonna kick your fucking head in. Your money's no good in here." And it was literally pop, and it was like, ah. And then you went, no, seriously, let me buy you a drink. And he went, I'm not going to tell you again. Your money means nothing in this pub. We're looking after you. You're our guests, all of you, and we'll look after you. And fuck me, they did though, didn't they? They fucking got you boys pissed.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so humbling. You know, we don't do it for people to buy us beer or whatever. You know, that's a nice part of it, but it's just having that interaction with people and you know, we all have this common connection, a common goal is the club and country, and because we've all got that connection, we just all seem to get on, and everyone just seems to love the armed forces, which is massive at the Den anyway, where everyone really shows us respect, and you know, we try and show that respect back, and we just love coming up. Just love coming up. It's the highlight of my calendar every year.
Well, it's it's your pre-warm up, isn't it, for the Senator or the Senator?
Yeah, Senator. Yeah.
How's that? How's that? And how's your prep for that? I mean, you're training for that now as well, aren't you?
Yes. So the Navy, we start 3 weeks before, and that encompasses doing the Field of Remembrance on Thursday next week, which is outside of Westminster Abbey, where everyone sees all the poppies and on the crosses. That's on the Thursday, and then rehearsals at the Royal Albert Hall for the Festival of Remembrance on the Friday, for the shows on the Saturday.
That's always you're there, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Is it? Because I've watched that since I was a kid. Right, I've watched that every year since I was a kid, and it's very, very emotional when those poppies fall from the sky.
Oh yeah.
How was it being there?
So I remember the first time I ever went there about 12, probably about 14, 15 years ago. And you always look at the telly and you go, you know, the Albert Hall's massive. Oh, it's not. It's a lot smaller, a lot intimate than you think. It's quite tall, but you can hear a pin drop, and you can literally hear the poppies as they come down. They're going like this, and you can literally hear the wind, and it's an incredible place. The atmosphere is just electric. It's an amazing place to be at. To be there on that Saturday, and to witness all the stories and the people that are there, and the even the performers. You know, there's some big names that they're truly humble to be there, and it's the same feeling I get every year when I go back and do the Festival of Remembrance is exactly the same as when I was there as first time in 2008, 2009, whatever it was when I was there. Can't even remember. And yes, we do that. Also, at the same time happening is the Lord Mayor show. So the Navy are marching through that. So the team splits into two, and there's only 6 or 7 of us, 7 of us in the team. So we split into two, and then we all come together as everyone. So the people who were at the Royal Albert Hall on the Saturday and the ones at the Lord Mayor show on the Sunday, they all come together, and they are all at the Cenotaph on the Sunday in Whitehall. And that's just it's amazing. It's incredible to be a part of. This is my 10th year of being at the Cenotaph this year, not in a row, but over years of me working in this job. That is a very, very, very special parade to do, and it's going to be a different one this year, a strange one. Getting used to. It's the first time we've got to sing the national anthem of God Save the King. The first time the King's there for this one, so this is going to be a very special one for me. So it's my 10th one and the first one with the King. It's an incredible.
Yeah, that's it. That you don't realise that you keep sort of forgetting, don't you, that it's not the Queen no more, it's the King. But yeah, we're say, well, we've been on an hour, mate. I think we'll probably have to do another one with you and the boys after the event, with some of the able sailors and seamen on. I don't know why I just got pug wash in my head then, but yeah, don't yeah. Do you know what I mean? Able seamen and masturbates and all that. Even though there wasn't a masturbates allegedly, but yeah, something else. But yeah,
Roger the cabin.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Listen, the banter on the group chat, we're not going to go anywhere near that sort of level. But the hierarchy, sorry, just quickly before we do, the hierarchy within the military is unbelievable. I mean, we've got a new guy this year, Dave, who's very senior officer in the army. And he says jump on that group. And they say how high. No one's met him yet. But literally, they know his rank. No one's met him. And he just goes, and everyone's in line.
Yeah.
I don't listen to you fuckers, mate. I didn't join the military. I fucking know. Do you know what I mean? I can't do authority, mate. People tell me to do something, I have to do the opposite just to fucking piss them off. But
I'll tell you what, we jump even higher when Mel goes.
Yeah, me and you both, mate. Yeah, me and you both. Yeah. But yeah, we cut that bit right out of the show because we can't let her know that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
But look, I'm proud to call you a pal, mate, because you're a good lad. You do fucking untold amount of work. You work your bollocks off, considering that outside of wartime, the military should have an easy life, to be fair, but you do work the bollocks off. I've had many an evening of drinking with you boys, and drinking port as well with your fucking strange games and your strange dinner rules, and that was that was interesting many years ago. Christ, that was 6 years ago as well. Yeah. And the rules around port, and one day we'll probably have to do I think one day we'll have to do a live show, and we'll do it while drinking port, where maybe come down to Portsmouth and see you boys, and we'll just do a show with a few of you boys, a live one as such, and we'll just continue, see how long we can go with drinking port before we just start talking even more bollocks and normal. But yeah, here's for the next 6 years of making this bigger and better. And listen, we only do it for you guys, Millwall fans as a whole. We're lucky enough to be in a position where we can do this. Hopefully you enjoy it. Hopefully you appreciate that we are doing it for you guys. And yeah, we're hoping this year will be bigger and better than it was last year in some instance, and we just look at getting forward more and more. So yeah, there's a few different things we're doing this year. So if you're in the boxes, make sure you bring your wallet. If you're in the exec lounge, make sure you bring your wallet. And if you're walking around, then make sure you bring your wallet. The stand will be near the first bar underneath Kitchener's, and also we'll have people on the gates. If you're a Hull fan listening to this, we'll have people in the Hull end collecting you. I think we raised about 28 grand last year. And I think we want to smash it this year if we can. 29,000 would be lovely. But since we took over, Mel running it, because obviously it used to be someone else that ran it from the British Legion, and then we took full control in 2016. Christ. And since then we've smashed year on year. Can you believe it? Well, I think the first year we raised about 6 grand, didn't we? 6.5 grand, I think it was.
Yeah.
And now we're talking last year we raised 28 odd grand. So yeah. Card meters this year, none of that. £1, £3, £5. You can pretty much tap as much as you want. So if you want to give 10, 20, 30, 50, you want to buy stuff and you want to use card, we've got card machines will take unlimited card payments. Just make sure the card's your own. And what else have we got? We've got about 38, 40 service personnel when I was meant to have 25.
I think it was 23, 24 or something.
Yeah. And then, so you boys stitched me up a little bit and got me told off by Mel. But hey ho, it is what it is. Right, you've been listening then to a Meat Bomber. I don't know if that's probably the best title to put across social media. Meet the Bomber. Could get me a lot of hits.
Did I ever tell you when we'd done the D-Day 75 parade in Southsea down in Portsmouth, the President of America come across? So we were doing the rehearsals and everything, and I put on Twitter, doing the D-Day 75. Next thing, I get tapped on the shoulder, 2 Secret Service people. Because my Twitter handle's Bomber Mills, they thought, hang on, there's some kind of bomber here. So yeah, I was on a Secret Service watch list. All because of my nickname. Yeah.
Tell them why you called Bomber.
So the Navy, well, pretty much most of the military, if you've got your surname, we don't ever call each other by surnames. It's always by nicknames. So with the surname of Mills, back in the First World War, was the little hand grenade shaped like a pineapple, and it was called the Mills bomb. So anyone called the name of Mills gets called Bomber Mills.
There we go. We're going to tell him what your real name is, so we're going to keep that secret. If you see him, ask him his real name and see if he tell you, but he probably won't. I don't even know it. No, I do. And I'm not going to tell you because he's bigger than me and he's got big guns. I think that's pretty much it, mate. We will do a show afterwards because there's a lot of the Navy boys and all that lot will want to come on. We'll probably do something next week, maybe Saturday, maybe next week. I don't know, but we'll sort something. And thank you very much for giving up an hour or so of your highly valuable time preparing. You can go back to packing now and getting ready for the trip up here tomorrow. Preparing for all these ceremonies you've got coming.
Yeah, back in the office early morning. But Mick, can I just say, hey, thanks for having me on. Really, really appreciate it, giving me the time. And thanks to every single Millwall fan who I encounter and see around the den. Your generosity into the poppy buckets is phenomenal, and we hugely appreciate it. And just thank you.
Do you remember the first year?
Yeah.
When the guy come and took a poppy off you, one of the little cardboard poppies, and he gave you best part of about 50 quid or something. He put in the pot, didn't he? And you were like, "Oh, do you want some change?" And he went, "No." And you were like, "Some bloke just put 50 quid in a pot." And then as that went on, that just happened more and more. But over the years, come forward. But people slag us off. But there's no one better than Millwall fans. There's no one better than Millwall fans standing, in your corner. And we're probably one of the only only teams in the country that we don't really give a shit who you are, what you are. But once you come through those gates, you're Millwall. And for that 90 minutes, you're Millwall. So, yeah. Well, that's it from us. Third time of trying this. Bomber will come up with another story in a minute and go, oh, hang on, let me do this one. If you like this, then make sure you subscribe and you will see the rest of the bits when we do them on YouTube or even on the podcast. We will be looking to put in some more shows next week. We are going to be the only place where you're going to be able to hear these boys. They do, hopefully, I think most of them do only talk to us. You might hear them elsewhere, but you'll always hear them first here. And I think that's pretty much it. Massive respect to you, sir. Looking forward to seeing you. Two more sleeps, and then it is looking forward to my double on Saturday morning for breakfast. And yeah, all we need now is to make sure Millwall get the win. And please, fucking hell. Sorry, I've got to end on this. Please, okay. I know Millwall players listen to this. Okay. Please do not score within the first 3 to 4 minutes because it will be carnage. We nearly had it last year.
We nearly did, yeah.
Nearly had it last year, and oh fuck. So yeah, it's
most of the stewards now go. You can see them going, get off, and they just now go, just do what you want, Bomber.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the club's official line is get off quickly, but we do what we do because we can. Let's just leave it like that. Again, massive appreciation to Mel. You are a fucking hero, mate, in all our eyes. What you do for the club, out the way of everyone's looks and gazes and everything else, is phenomenal. What you do with Poppy, what you do with fans, up against it, what you do for people, through Hoff, through raise money with other people, drilling people to do stuff, organising people, second to none. And you are a fucking superstar. And also all the other people that have done stuff for the armed forces and that, you know, John Davis, Lee Evans, getting that bench, sorting everything out there. Massive shout out to Husky, who do a lovely chocolate if you can find anywhere what sells it. Yeah, that's it from us. We could be chatting all night, mate. There's loads more stories, but you're gonna have to come back next week when we get some of the other soldier guys and all that on, and we'll do a couple of purely military podcasts and listen to some of their stories and banter. And just keep watching. Thanks very much for watching. That is it. This is the real end now. We are fucking ending no more. I've muted him. He can't speak anymore, thank fuck. And you're probably bored of me already. So look, get across socials, follow us at Millwall Pod. We do really need your support on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe because it helps us open up more doors and gets us in more people's faces. So that's it. Remember, Saturday, get there early and bring lots of change, bring lots of money. And if you want those Falkland badges, you need to get in quick. So, yeah, thanks very much. That's it. God save the Queen, and God save the King.
God save the King.